Hi, and welcome to the Journey to Happy podcast. This is a podcast about self introspection, self growth, mindfulness, life coaching, and all things related to the mind as we become the CEO of our own life. That's right. In here, we all become promoted to CEOs. Join me for weekly episodes on mindset tips, motivational stories, and of course, mindfulness based tools that will help us grow our confidence, grow our compassion, our zen, and our focus. I am a recovered self sabotager, a recovered anxiety junkie, and I can promise you that in here I am devoting all of my best mindset tips and shifts to help you get rid of all the elements of your mind that come to stand on the way of you and happiness, you and your full potential. So I am so excited that we're connecting. I am Olga. I am a retired social worker and now life coach, a mindset coach, a wife, blissfully a mother, and I am also your host. Thanks for joining me. See you inside. All right, welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Journey to Happy podcast. For you guys listening at home, I'm incredibly thankful that these ladies took part of their Sunday to come and share with you what it's like to be a part of becoming the CEO of your own life. I will tell you, all of the ladies who are here today have been coached by me for a while, outside of becoming the CEO of your own life and inside that container. Some of you have been in pretty much every coaching container I have come up with in the last 3 years. And bottom line, we're just here to talk to you guys about what it's like to be in a coaching/therapy group coaching program, something that we don't hear much about. It's a hybrid between coaching and therapy. And I just want to break the stigma around coaching for mental health, coaching for emotions, and for personal growth, and break it down into what it actually is. So I've got these ladies here. I'm going to be just guiding some conversations as if we were in the living room having coffee. Did you guys bring your coffee?
Yes.
I want to see those coffee. Thank you. Oh, water. Okay, we've got a variety of drinkers here. And this is all we're doing. We're spending our Sunday morning with you guys. This will be released on a Monday, so you're going to be listening to this on a Monday. But in case you wonder what we do on Sunday mornings, this is it. This is what we do on Sunday mornings. So I'm just going to briefly let everybody introduce yourself, just really briefly, like who you are, maybe tell us like what brought you to wanting to join a group coaching program to begin with, and maybe your human superpower. Easy. Who wants to start? Not all at once.
I can start us off. So, hi, I'm Gabby, and I've been working with Olga for a couple years now. I'm going to start with my human superpower because
I love it.
Yeah, because I feel like if you had asked me this question at the beginning, it would have taken me a while to come up with this, or I wouldn't have even known it. So my human superpower is that I'm very empathetic. So that's my superpower. And I joined this group coaching. I've been working with Olga, and Olga had a group coaching program started, and Olga, you told me about it, and I was very apprehensive, but I wanted to take my work to the next level. So I just thought it would be a great way to kind of combine my one-on-one work and find my power. And I was looking for, just a way to do that. And the benefits you talked about of group coaching just really resonated with me. And I just thought, okay, let's give it a shot. So I just really wanted that opportunity to take things to the next level.
Nancy, Gabby, and when you say this was like you were apprehensive, this was completely out of your comfort zone.
100%.
Coaching to you would have been like maybe even the reason why you started coaching to begin with. Being in the groups wouldn't be like your thing. And so, what do you think made you make that like that? That was a scary step to make. How did you balance that fear and still did it? Still move forward?
For me, I saw the benefits that I was having with one-on-one coaching and how I was evolving. And I just thought, you know what, I have nothing to lose. It's just, I deserve the opportunity to, put myself first and just basically try different programs, just like you would do with your physical health. So yeah, that just, I guess I thought, you know what, let's give it a shot and see. And I definitely don't regret it at all.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys, so much. Who wants to go next?
Good morning. I'm Nancy, and I am a registered nurse. I've been nursing for 26 years now, and mainly in women's health. So taking care of women is very important to me. But I think throughout my life, being a caregiver and having my superpower being a compassionate person, I think I was feeling that I didn't know how to take care of myself, to do self-care. And so I started seeing Olga through a friend that introduced me to Olga, and I was part of her first Journey to Happy group. Realizing I always thought I was a super happy, bubbly person. I am happy. There's no way that I am unhappy until I realized, well, I guess my definition of happy has changed from when I started with Olga to now. And it wasn't that I wasn't happy, I think I realized that my personality type would sometimes create some frustration in my life, therefore make me unhappy. And so I started with the Journey to Happy thinking, okay, an 8-week course, this is good, I'm happy. Okay, let's move on. And then I continued seeing Olga during her meditation sessions when she used to have a face-to-face studio. And then there were other sessions that would come up, and I'm thinking, okay, I think I can continue doing this. And I had heard Olga saying that she had a life coach and she'll always have a life coach. And I thought, who needs a life coach? Like, why? And then I realized that every time I would take a session with Olga, a 4-week session or an 8-week session, I learned more about myself. I learned more about what was preventing me from keeping a happiness or, I guess, preventing me from being happy sometimes. And I realized how doing self-care, putting myself first was a big challenge for myself. And therefore, I decided to join the first group of the Journey to Happy. Well, what was it called after, Gabby?
Still Journey to Happy.
It was still Journey to Happy, but this time it was like a longer term. And then I said, okay, I'll start with 3 months. And, it was a 3-month term. And I'm like, oh, that should give me enough skills. And then I realized, well, I'm not done learning about myself and I haven't reached all my goals. Even if I didn't know what all my goals were, I still knew I wasn't done. And oh my gosh, I think it has changed my life. It has, I may get even emotional here. It has changed my life, my personal life. It has changed in my marital life. It has changed in my professional life. I bring it to work without even knowing that I'm giving goals or giving strategies to my patients / we call them clients. And I didn't know at first. I started working on I always worked on myself, but had no idea that it would influence the people around me. until I started getting comments in my household saying, you come home less uptight, you're not as frustrated when you come home. And like I said, at work too, I got a letter from a patient saying how I help her develop confidence in herself. Wow. And I'm like, what? Normally, like I would, in my nursing job, yes, I help people, but to give them confidence, I didn't know that's what I was doing. It really blew my mind. So I don't know how else to convince people that I think everybody should have a life coach. We were talking at lunchtime one day at work, and it was a mix of doctors and nurses. And I was saying how I had a life coach, and I had a group of women that we meet several times a month. And he turned to me and says, you have a life coach? And I said, hey, this there is what you see is because I have a life coach.
Why do you think he was so shocked about you? You have a life coach?
Yeah, and then we didn't have time. Our lunches are so short, right? So we never have time to finish our conversation. So I wanted to ask him, but I don't know, maybe because like, I do know that I am calm. And when a situation happens, I remain calm, and not everybody that happens. And I always find a solution. I think it showed me that there's always a solution. We always have a choice in life. So I don't know. I think that could be it. Yeah, I could keep talking and talking.
Thank you, Nancy. We'll come back to you because, you're a lifetimer. You signed up for an 8 or 4 week course. And interesting, I've evolved with you ladies because I no longer teach, like the courses that I teach are only pre-recorded and online. If you are going to work with me at any level personally, we're talking about 6 months minimum, because I've learned about real transformation does not happen in 6 weeks. So what I could tell you, we're going to bring you to happiness, to confidence in 6 weeks. I know for a fact, nobody's brain works that fast. And if we rush the process, we spoil the process. So I think that that's what's behind this life coaching program, is that we understand it takes time, and we'd rather take the time to master skills and give ourselves the time to get there. Jen, do you want to go next? I
Sure.
see you. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Olga, you might not actually know this, but my path to you, I guess we can call it, started about 4 years ago. And you're thinking, what?
That's like what I thought.
So actually, I remember going to see a naturopath, I don't know, 4 years ago. And we were talking about stress and things like that. And she had recommended you, right? And that was, like I said, 4 years ago or so. And I ended up kind of researching a little bit about you, going on your page and following you for a little bit of time, actually. And then...
creeping me.
No,
creeping mode.
In a good way, right? So I learned a little bit from your postings and things like that, right? The things that you had on your website and on your Facebook. And so I did that for a little bit of time. And then in 2020, I was a little bit, I think I was ready to make a move, right? So 2020 was to be the year of Jen. So I remember we started, I think in January, February anyways, because I one of the first items that I wanted to work on was, because I work in construction and I'm obviously a woman, I do have a few things that come up, right? Because whether we like it or not, construction is a man's world. So it's a little bit different. But I've been in it for, more than 15 years now. So it's a little bit, so how I go through things, it may not be necessarily the same way with not regular women, but can you erase that? I don't know.
I bet you anybody hearing you say the things that you're gonna say, they can relate to. They're gonna be like, right. I might not. I live in a men's world. Like, let's face it, this is it.
That's what it is, right? So I work in a man's world. It's a little bit different. How I operate is different because of it. Anyways, so now I wanted to grow. And then because success is a little bit of a moving target, right? So you get to a certain level and then you want, a lot of times you want more. So you're searching for that happiness, and that success kind of goes hand in hand, right? So we had started working on things about a year ago, and then COVID happened. And with that came a lot of challenges as a single mom. That we've worked through, some of it anyways, that we've worked through, which is really fantastic. And then you mentioned this group. So at first I was a little bit hesitant about the group, right? I'm very independent. I'm not very vulnerable when it comes to things like that, right? I have select friends, and groups, it's hard for me, right? So I decided to jump in anyways. And it took me a few weeks because a lot of the group members were actually individuals that were a part of your previous group. So they understood how the communication went. And I just sat back and just listened, right? Until I had a little bit of a moment. I can't remember what it was, but anyways, it's been a few weeks now. So, but it's just building up that vulnerability and then putting it out there. So yeah, so we've been working on that, definitely. So that's a little bit about me.
What's your superpower?
You know what? I've been thinking about it, and I don't think I know what it is yet. I think I need to put a little bit more thought into it.
That sounds good. I could give you a list of ones that I've seen, but that's okay. It has to come from
It does. Yes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I've been working with Olga since 2018. I came to her with I wouldn't say issues, but I was needing to work on codependency. From there, we evolved, and it kind of one thing led to another. And it wasn't codependency that I needed to work on, but in reality, it was self-love and needing to find my true happiness and my true calling and healing. So with that, it led me to Journey to Happy, which now led me to our CEO course. And I've been working with her for a while, and kind of like what Nancy says, when we work, okay, we're done. But with life, there's so many events that happen, and there's so much work to do. I thought I was going there to deal with a relationship. Next thing you know, we're dealing with tragedies and different events that happened. And it's like, you now have this group of women that kind of come together, and you can now call your support. And it's interesting because I'm a very introverted person, and I was very scared when she told me you need to join these courses. And I was like, I'm not going to talk. And I barely did at first because I was terrified. It's completely out of my comfort zone, but it's, when you read like, oh, your tribe of people, your tribe of women, it's like, I found my people. And it's like, we have a Voxer, and we could just, without being scared, you can just be vulnerable and say whatever you have a question about. And these group of ladies will be here to actually listen and support you. And there's no judgment. And that's what we need in this type of world today, especially with everything going on. So I truly appreciate this group of women, this group of work, and a life coach. I think it's the most important thing we need. I've done therapy. I've done a lot of different work, and a life coach is what's going to help us succeed and be the best humans we can be compared to, it's not, you know what I mean? So that's what I believe in. And my superpower, I'm a single mom of 3, and being a mom is my superpower. So
amen to that. And does anybody else have watery eyes? I have watery eyes. I get so emotional. And you guys couldn't see us, but we were all like strongly shaking our heads when Sarah said, this is what we need, a group of women who do not judge us. And we're all like, yes, amen. If we were in church, which I mean, it's Sunday, we could kind of like maybe take on some of the church behaviors in this podcast if we want. We'll all be going, amen to that. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing. And thank you, all of you, for introducing yourself. This is not all that the entire group of becoming the CEO of your own life. We didn't have everybody join us. We're 8. I do keep these groups somewhat small. So 10 is my max for these groups at the moment. Maybe that's going to change eventually. I don't know. But at this moment, to me, it's very important that every member feels really connected, and that it allows me the time to actually know every single one of these ladies. And I can I can say I know all of these ladies, and I feel really connected to what they're working on, what they're struggling with. And Voxer, for those of you who heard Sarah say, it's kind of like a WhatsApp if you don't know what Voxer is, but you send voice memos, and we have become addicted to it. In between calls, we share it. So you can come and ask questions. You can come and share wins and things that you're proud of, or if you're frustrated, things that you're frustrated. And I love it because what's behind that is not just a life coach, but the wisdom behind all the other ladies who are in the group who will also pitch in and just share their opinions. So if you're having a bad day, you just have to reach out to your Voxer team, and we will happily just kick in to boost your energy. And so that's part of this program. Before we jump in, I really do feel compelled to explain why becoming the CEO of your own life was born. Journey to Happy is what this group was called before, and it's evolved. I'm no longer just wanting to help people in their path to happiness. I am above that now, and I want the women who I'm coaching to absolutely still be searching for what happy means to them. But we all know happiness is homemade, is what we make of it. And what I've noticed in my 16 years of coaching women is that there is certain respect. But you know how back in the day when our parents were teaching us to respect them was maybe through the lenses of fear. So I find that throughout my years of coaching, women have certain level of fear/respect for their own power, where they would just know it. You know, I know I'm powerful. I'm just terrified of using my own power or stepping into it. And so that's what becoming the CEO of your own life is really all about. I am here to help individuals, but also as a group, to come together, to step into our own power unapologetically, to claim what it is for us to claim our power to exist, our power to have what we want. And I strongly believe we can have it all. So you bet this is what I'm coaching these ladies on. How can we have it all? And to tell you the truth, this particular group makes it so easy because they actually believe it. And so they also go and grab what they want and make it happen, which is incredible. Now, if you guys are listening, you can probably pick up already on how many different walks the women in this group come from. We all have different family situations. We all work in very different fields. And a few of you have told me already, I don't even know these ladies. I don't know what they do for work. And I love them. How can that be? How can it be that I just feel so connected to these women? Because let's face it, as women, we all face the same internal conflicts and dialogues, and we're all craving for the same support. Just a community that allows us to flourish in our own way, but to flourish. So this is what it's all about. Now that you've known the ladies here, I want to just randomly start asking you ladies to kick in, and if you're muted, unmute, and feel free to cut each other off. No, just let people finish. But if you all have something to say at once, that's fine. We don't have to be super organized. But what would you ladies say was pivotal for you to know that it was time to get out of your comfort zone? Because every single one of you have said, and I think it's funny, Sarah was saying, I told her, you have to join. It's always an invitation, okay, for everybody. But maybe, Sarah, you feel I have to do something different. And I think that is true for many of the people who join group coaching in general, is that we feel, and I know I speak for my own self, when I joined my mastermind, it was with the interest of just doing something else, something that I hadn't tried before. And I knew it was time to do that. So what do you guys think was a pivotal moment in your own understanding of self that said, don't feel it 100%, but okay, I'm going to try. So I know, Gawi, you talk about just seeing the benefits. What have been the benefits? What are the benefits of doing one-on-one work and having this group of ladies around you?
I think for me, the one-on-one was super helpful, because similar to what Sarah said, when I started working with Olga, it was for a specific reason. Like I came to Olga working on grief, but then over time, there were, Sarah described it so well. Life happens. There's so many different things, and having a life coach can help you get through all those moments. So I think as I was doing this work, I just realized that, I wanted support, I wanted accountability. And in order to, take the work that I was doing on myself to the next level was thought through group coaching, and the one-on-one was really helpful in kind of really just getting to the root of who I am and where my blockers were, and even kind of setting my goals and understanding my potential and where I want to go. And then moving to the group coaching, of course, as many of the ladies have said, like it's scary to be vulnerable, and it's hard, and you don't know the space you're walking into, and you hope it's going to be non-judgmental, but you don't know the people at the beginning, right? And coming to this space where, as others have said, you get to a point in a couple weeks where, these people were strangers, and you're coming with, something that maybe a couple of years ago you would have just sat on by yourself and overthought and just been alone. But now you can literally pick up your phone and just say, hey, I'm having a really tough day. This is going on. And within like an hour, you're like, oh, I feel better. So I think it's really incredible, because the one-on-ones, you get that deep work and you're like, okay, right, this for my past, or that this maybe made me who I am, and this is what I want to work on. But when you pair it with that almost 24/7 type support, or just knowing that you can just really be yourself and not be afraid of being judged, I think I've realized that I am 100% my worst critic, and having people, basically help break that down, and me realize when I go to Voxer, when I come to these calls, that, oh, I'm so much harsher on myself than anyone else would ever be, right? So I just think there's so many benefits to both one-on-one and the group. And I think it's great that this program has both of those aspects in it, where, you can really progress.
Yeah. And that was done intentionally. From the data I've kept from my clients who have done the best, have excelled in their own personal growth, I realized they were doing both things. They were doing the group and they were doing the one-on-one, to dive into the things that you definitely don't want a group of people to know, and that it doesn't belong to anywhere else but you and your coach.
I'm the contrary from Gabby in terms of, I did not do the one-on-one. I was always doing the courses and the group sessions. And at one point, the first 3-month journey to happy, we were receiving some one-on-one coaching, and I was doing it. It was part of it, but I never went beyond, and I always liked it, but I didn't realize until this new, with the CEO group, we get a one-on-one coaching a month, and I have learned even more. I've seen the benefits of both. So I think the previous groups, Gabby and I have been in the previous groups together with other women, and they were doing one-on-one. And I think I was the only one not really doing extra one-on-one. And I realize now that the combination of the group and the one-on-one is necessary. I feel I've evolved and learned so much more about myself since, and we started, we're March now, and it's been 2 months. So there's definitely this combination is the way to do it. Definitely. For sure. And I wanted to say, when I started with the first journey to happy, I wanted to get tricks. I wanted to get suggestions on how to convince other people around me. And this is what I've just discovered lately, on how to convince other people I am right. Oh, but no, was I ever wrong when Olga would tell me that I wasn't right, and the other person I was having a conflict was probably right. And I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm not right? And so I thought I was going for strategies on how I can convince other people, listen, I'm right. But no, I'm the one, if I had the problem, that meant I'm the one that needed the work. It blows my mind, still does, but I am so much happier and the people around me as well.
It's funny, Nancy, when you guys may have heard me say this before, and it might come shocking to you, but my first training ever in mindfulness, my first attending to a mindfulness anything was solely for professional purposes. I was thinking, just like you, give me the tools so that I can teach this. And so this group of people I help can just get ahead in life and be so much better. Little did I know I was the student that needed to learn mindfulness and practice it. And so the motivation initially was what brought me there, to help other people, but really who needed the help and who needed to practice the mindfulness is all here. And of course now I can teach that to others, but definitely from a place of self-practice and that experience, which makes things very different. So yeah, sometimes the motivation is like, how do I change these people who annoy me so much? And if that is you, I can help you with that, and without changing a thing about them. That's what I would say.
Well, a little bit. So between Nancy and Gabby, they covered a lot of the group versus the one-on-ones. But for me, I'm a very task-oriented person. I'm very black and white, right? So the one-on-ones worked well for keeping me a little bit of a status quo as far as that went, right? And then I'm noticing now that because the groups are new to me since January, that what I really needed to work on was being vulnerable. I know it sounds crazy, and it's not what I came here for. Because I just wanted to go a little bit higher in my career, right? But really, vulnerability is really what I need to work on. And I kind of relate to this group, and this is very new, right? Like I said, but I kind of relate it to it's a little bit of like one of those sitcoms, like Friends or Girlfriends or whatever it may be. I feel it's a little bit like that, and it takes less. And this is going to sound a little bit crazy because Olga, obviously, you're the mind behind all of this, but it removes a little bit of having you as our God and then just making us work on ourselves a little bit more, right? So that's a little bit of how I feel.
Chills going all over my body. That is exactly like the goal behind. It is not an Olga's show. It is your show. And so just finding that power within you and to share with the group. And I absolutely love that. Love it. So powerful.
I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm.
What has it done to you, Jen? You've brought up the being vulnerable, and I love it because I think when we think of being in a group, the first thing we think is like, ooh, scary. I'm going to be vulnerable. So how many of us have cried in sessions, like, yeah,
definitely.
I think everybody can say, or get like angry or frustrated. We're like, that's expressing our emotions that for years we've been like, ooh, don't cry in front of people. Don't show that you're uncomfortable. Don't disagree with anybody. And here we're like, I mean, I'm the first one to cry or to tell you guys with very strong words how I'm feeling about something. And so I think what has that been for you, Jen, to like realize, first of all, that you needed to become vulnerable and then just not running away, but actually doing it. And I know you mentioned even being in this podcast today is a sign of you like, all right, I'm jumping in full force. I said I was going to be vulnerable. So if Olga invited me, I'm going to say yes.
That's right. So it's different. It's a different space. I'm in my late 30s. I've never been in this space ever. So being vulnerable, affects everything. It affects your personal relationships, your friendships, your work. And I didn't realize it affected so many other things right in my life. So it's different. It's definitely different. But I'm enjoying it, right? So it's not a bad different. It's just, okay, wow, this is like a new me. You open the door and there's like all these other possibilities.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the opening of doors analogy. I will always love that analogy. It's this is what to me coaching is all about, is opening up possibilities, things that you wouldn't have thought on your own. How many of us sit on with the same anxiety for years? expecting things to be different, but nothing happens. And we're like, but why? We just haven't unlocked a new level or just opened that new door. So, oh, that's very good to hear, Jen. Hi, friends. I'm interrupting you here briefly to invite you to join my Detox the Mind online course. This is a do-it-yourself course. It is the step-by-step of how to change your mind from habits that are super unhelpful, like self-sabotaging, like anxiety, like overthinking, and just about any element inside your mind that you currently do by repetition. But there's a better way. You know there is a better way. You might not be interested in joining me yet in private coaching or joining a group coaching method. I get it. Maybe you just want to do this by yourself. This is your opportunity. Detox the Mind offers more than 12 weeks of content, step by step. It's me breaking down all of the steps that a person needs to take in order to really truly detoxify the mind from all those elements that end up feeling pretty heavy and discouraging without having to talk to somebody or having to share in a group. It will give you access, though, to a private Facebook group where from time to time I show up and do lives and answer questions that you can directly ask me from the course itself. What's in the course? A multitude of videos, more than 36 mini videos, as well as workbooks and checklists that help you stay on top of your progress. This course is currently for sale for $299, and it will be yours for life. So if this is something that speaks to you, if you're interested in creating new mental habits, in understanding the functioning of the mind so that you can play along the mind rules and actually get the results that you want, this course is for you. I really hope to see you in there. All the information is in the show notes. Okay, so let's move on to our next question. And by the way, we're doing, like I said, recording this on a Sunday. So yes, there's children in the background. My husband just sent me a photo of my son. We'll have home distractions and I welcome them because, I mean, we're living through COVID. We're pros at this now. We've done this and that's the way it's supposed to be. We're wearing too many hats all at once. Ladies, let's move into who do you think and what will you have to say to somebody? Like let me start with this one first. Who do you think should join becoming the CEO of your own life? Like, who do you think is a person who could really benefit knowing what you know? Now, I love that this particular group has been together for 2 months. We're going into our 3rd month now. And so what you guys are hearing right now are experiences that I've had over a 2-month period. What's inside becoming the CEO of your own life is 2 group calls, sort of like what you're seeing here right now. And this is essentially how the calls go. I ask one question, everybody answers. And it also includes a one-on-one plus Voxer support. So I think Gabi was you who said 24/7 support. That's essentially what it is. I've never provided this amount of support to a group, and it's never felt better to do it this way, like lighter. I don't think anybody here, some of you, Sarah, like some of you who have been coached by me for a while, and you guys were like worried about me. You sure we're not going to be bothering you if we send you messages? And I'm like, you have no idea how much passion I feel about this. So no, I don't feel that this has been, it's been the lightest group to coach. Hence, I want to do it again. So we have a new cohort opening in April. And if you guys have been thinking about joining a group coaching, a life coaching in a group setting, I wanted to hear from people who are taking it, who are in it right now. Who do you guys think this is for? Like, just think of yourself before you even join. Like, who do you think this kind of group coaching is for? Who will excel here? What will they need to have, like, or be to say, oh, okay, then I qualify for that?
I think anybody can be a part of this. There's so much growth to be done. It doesn't matter what level you're at. I think everybody needs a life coach. Everybody needs that next. There's always something we're striving. There's always a new goal. There's always something that we're going to be working on. So I think this group of women would be a great resource for us to have. I personally, my sister and I we were driving one day, and then I started playing my Voxer, and then I asked the question, and she's like, how do you have that on demand? Like, you have therapy on demand. And I said, listen, I need it because it's working. So it's something you should look towards. But it's funny because she's so she's an introvert as well. And she's like, I can't do it. I said, we all feel the same way, but it's getting us out of your own comfort zone, and you're with a group of ladies you can trust. So I would highly recommend finding that and gaining that confidence, because once you're over that fear, like, there's so much opportunity.
I love that. It is the people who don't believe they can get over that fear, because let's remember how huge fear can feel, right? And like I'm going to talk to ladies I don't know, and like, at least they knew Olga, but some of you were brand new to me when you first came to any of my groups. Like, all of you were brand new when you first came, right? And you knew nothing about me, and yet you felt. And I think about my coach. I listened to her on a podcast, and then I was like, I want to work with her. I had no idea who was going to be in that group, but I have experienced enough times the growth that comes with being in a mastermind with other women. And actually, research supports that. Research says that women do so much better when they are supported by a community. It doesn't surprise me now that I do this. I'm like, yeah, I see it. Like, I can see how research can actually support that. So Sarah, you can let your sister know that we are starting in April. And I know Nancy is one of the people whose family members were like, whatever you're doing, I want that. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of like the beauty of this progress that you do on your own self. You become kind of like magnetic. People want to know, they can sense there's something different about your energy. They can't sometimes put a finger on what it is, but they just want more of you, be with you, be like you. It's a good feeling. You're like, who, me? You want to be like me? No problem.
I think people that are open to listen to options, people that are, you don't need a certain type of personality. We're all different types of personalities, yet similar. We're all different ages, different like situations in our lives, but it's someone that asks themselves, what else is out there? How, and we thought, like I thought I was going in there to get strategies to, push it on other people, and then realizing it's all about me, right? So it's people that are wanting to learn, that are curious and willing, right, to work. Because I think what's so appealing about this group of women, and what makes it so easy to go share your wins and your challenges, is that everyone here in this group is willing to work on themselves, is wanting to work. And also probably because we felt the wins and we know how amazing it makes us feel. I think that's the number one thing.
Yeah, so somebody who's open to really walking life with opportunities. I agree with Nancy. Like, well, it could be open to everybody. If you're not ready yet to get out of your misery, or that, like, we are comfortable in what we know, even if that implies some suffering, right? Like anxiety or just not getting out of that comfort zone. We have heard this so many times, like, let's just get out of your comfort zone where life begins. And we're like, yeah, but comfort is known, and known is better than unknown. And so we sometimes want to stay there. And I get messages on a weekly basis, people saying they no longer want to be where they're at mentally or emotionally. And yet they will find an excuse or a reason why they couldn't join anything. Like, my lowest ticket item is $97 a month. If you were truly, like, if you really want to make that one step, that's, I find, like a fee that most insurance will cover. And you could say, okay, if this is what it's going to cost to invest in myself, maybe I can. That's like five coffees at Starbucks, right? Like, we've all spent the 5 coffees once in a while. So But when we're open to saying what would it cost, what price would I put in me feeling free from anxiety or from conflict? And if you're like Nancy, where you felt, but I'm perfectly happy, yet here I am wondering how else could I grow? Like, then you're that curiosity has opened up a door for you for opportunity. We all have a potential, and very few of us walk on that potential on a regular basis, right? So this is an opportunity to just even discover what that is, and then just challenge yourself to get there, which is, for me, it's exhilarating. I thrive on that. That's the kind of lifestyle I absolutely love walking through.
I think the other ladies said it pretty well. I think for me, I was just kind of thinking, daydreaming about where I was, I guess. And I think it's just important to remember, like, if there's, like a little bit of hesitance, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And if you just want to, I guess, be a more authentic version of yourself, or whatever that is that you want to work on, like others have said, we're all working on very different things. We all have had very different life experiences that have made us who we are. So if the idea, because I know for me, I'll just, I guess, make it a bit more personal. For me, joining I was like, oh, that sounds great. And Olga, you know this, but I was like, oh, but I could never be like that. Like, I could never, not be anxious about that or whatnot. So I think it's, if you want to, change the way you see life or live life, and if you're willing to put the work in, like, then this is definitely for you.
Mm-hmm. If you guys have to describe in one word our group calls, what word will come to mind?
Empowering.
Supportive.
Inclusive.
Mine was empowering as well.
You can repeat, it's okay.
It's like trying to think of it.
Can we give more?
And I would even add, to me, it's inspiring. I've never left a call with you ladies without feeling inspired to do something for myself. Mm-hmm. To be like, yes, I want to run tomorrow. Or yes, I want to journal. Or I want to go kiss my husband and tell him how much I love him. Or just inspired. Just really just walking on cloud 9 after coming together and talking to and listening to you ladies. Biggest breakthrough that you've had since joining, becoming the CEO of your own life? Your biggest breakthrough?
Boundaries, creating healthy boundaries. And with the busy life, it was very difficult to even realize what boundaries were: personal, work, anything. And I just asked a call one day, and the ladies were like all over it, and everyone having their own issues with boundaries, and had so many examples. And it really was like, go ahead. It was like, wow. And it changed once I realized and discovered, and even in 2 months, once I've created this healthy relationship with boundaries, things have changed, like, on so many levels, with work, with my family, with my partner, with everything. So that was a big, important one for myself.
Very true. So you learned more about boundaries, you implemented boundaries in this short period of time, and you're feeling benefits of that.
Yeah.
I've learned that I am the maker of my own happiness.
Whoa.
Well, I've learned that I am in control of my own emotions, my reactions, and my happiness. Which in the past I would have thought, well, that person makes me happy, and that situation is what's going to make me happy, and these things around me are what makes me happy. But when I'm in a situation, a very difficult situation, I've realized that I'm still, even in hard, difficult situations, I'm still the person that can make myself happy. And I don't need a thing or anybody around me to do that for myself.
Mic drop.
That is my biggest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a huge breakthrough. What do you think facilitated that breakthrough? Because that's massive in the last 2 months to have come to that conclusion.
One word, Olga.
Nancy has also made of my name a verb. She organized things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say you call your inner voice Olga, but that's all you, Nancy. That's all you. You've done the work. And Nancy shared with me recently, not being very happy with her husband and thinking twice, should I do his laundry? Maybe not today. And she did it. She says, no, screw this. Deep inside, I am a loving and I am compassionate human and I'm doing this. And just that made me want to do something better the next time I'm not feeling like doing something good for somebody. Like it shows you these the smallest things that we begin to see our change, our shift in our mind, how we can choose to still be deciding how we want to respond. And whatever makes us feel more proud in the future, choose that. Whatever makes you feel more like, that was a great move. Past Olga, I like you. Thank you for making that move then, because it makes me happy today. So I think those are the small things. Sometimes we think of like these grandiose changes that are going to happen once we enter coaching or therapy. And when we get to it, it is actually the little things. You're like, oh, I closed the computer at 4:30 and look, I've got all these hours now to spend with my kids. Or I'm going to choose how much I'm going to let this person's behaviors or lack of impact me, and how can I make myself happy? How can I bring myself flowers? Right? Like that's what essentially self-happiness is planting our own garden versus just waiting for Prince Charming to come and bring us the flowers. Not that we don't need Prince Charming, we love it and we appreciate Prince Charming, but isn't it amazing that we can plant our own garden and also have Prince Charming, which is what I choose to believe. We can have it all. So, thank you. That's such a good breakthrough. Gabby, Jen, your biggest breakthroughs over the last 2 months since becoming the CEO of your own life.
So one of the things for me is a little bit how to maneuver through the mud, right? So this is going to be maybe sound a little crazy, but sometimes you're just trying to get through the mud, trying to get through it, but really all you need to do is sit in the mud and have a mud bath, right? So we've been talking about that recently, where you just have to, sit in the emotions and then that'll bring growth, right? So that really resonated with me because I'm a very task-oriented person, right? If you tell me to go ABC, then I'll do ABC, and I should get that that end goal. But it's not always like that. You need to do other work, and that's what we're doing right now. So I
love that analogy. I have a tattoo on my wrist of a lotus flower, and the reason that tattoo is here is the only flower that grows in the mud, and it can only grow in the mud. If there is no mud, there is no lotus. And so that's exactly how I would define my personality. I am a lotus. I can grow in the middle of mud and still look beautiful. And so I just love this analogy of just walking through the mud and then realizing maybe I just need to have a mud bath. I love that, Jen. I'm going to totally borrow those words and use them so much, because that's what life is all about. That's being vulnerable. That's embodying the being powerful. We don't need the perfect paved road on a sunny day to say, I'm happy. It's happy to feel happy on those days. But what about those more dense emotions that nobody wants to have, yet we're human, so we have them? What do we do about them? And how many of us spend our lives running away from our own selves, rejecting, right? So, I love it. I love that so much. And amazing breakthrough. Like, if this is all you got out of a year of coaching, you're winning. This is amazing. Gal,
no, this is not a year. This is just 2 months, my dear.
Exactly. I am doing a dance. I might go for a run right after this call. I think I'm just building up so much energy here.
Mine is similar to how Jen just described that. I think for me, it's definitely what I'm still working on. But I am similarly very task-oriented and a perfectionist in recovery. Can I say recovering perfectionist? And one of the things that I've learned in the last month is how I'm a fixer and not a healer. And honestly, it's taken me a couple weeks just wrapping my mind, no matter how many times it's explained to me what that means. And, I've been doing a lot of this work, and it's, it's honestly like addicting. Like I love it, but sometimes, I've gotten to this point where I'm like, oh, great, gotta fix that, fix that, fix that. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I gotta add that to my, list of to-dos on myself. And some like that can be very overwhelming. And, I think sometimes you gotta take a step back, which I've been learning, and just, focus on one thing, or, not just try and fix everything, because as Olga, you always say, like, we're not broken, right? It's just, it's I don't know, self-improvement or growth and evolution and all of that. And my breakthrough, and I kind of, when you ask this too, I'm thinking like, okay, what was my big win? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have one. But it's like, well, this is such a breakthrough because it's completely changing the way that I have kind of, I guess, thought about working on my goals. So I am moving into this space of healing instead of fixing. And it's definitely a space that it's going to take a lot of work, in the sense of unlearning the way that I am used to approaching challenges or some of my goals. So this was one of the topics, I guess, of last month. And yeah, it's so interesting, right? Because you go and you're working at things and you're like, yeah, this is good, I'm progressing. But then sometimes you get so focused on what you're working on, and you kind of forget, I guess, where's that coming from? And for me, as much as, some of the work was to better myself, I think the way I was doing some of it was actually doing the opposite. So anyways, entering this space of healing, and it's a big breakthrough for me, and I'm really excited to kind of sit in this space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm so happy that you brought that up, because I feel that the personality that I attract the most as a coach is a perfectionist, overachiever, A to Z. Give me the plan, Jen is like me. So, okay, we've talked about this. It's easy to come up with a goal and then give me the steps and I follow the steps, but it's so much more complex to be human and to let ourselves be human as we're working towards our big goals. So we're not getting rid of our big goals. We're simply allowing us to have a human experience as we're getting there, and just trusting that we're capable beyond measure, that we don't have that perfect plan. Jen, go ahead.
Sorry, I find that just where we are in society right now, it brings us, like, a lot of us have this same way of doing things because of how society is, social media, keeping up with the Joneses. You always want better, but it's as if as that foundation, it's not, it wasn't built properly, So we need to go back to the foundation level, and then, in order to go further in life, essentially.
Yeah. And in a way, this program is rebuilding the foundation of you. Mm-hmm. What are you being driven by right now? And if it's fear, if it's ego, your ego is full of fears and oh, this will make me look good. When we're so afraid of judgment, all those thoughts are ego, ruled by the ego. We need to have an ego. Ego is very important. Don't get me wrong. But when we can come back to our intention, and what is it that I'm in this planet for? And how can I make the most out of my life? I started reading last night a great book that reminds me so much of the work I do with you ladies, Project to Happiness, or the Happiness Project, the Happiness Project. And is this used to be a lawyer, she's now a writer. And she talks about one day being on the train on her way home and thinking life is going by too fast. Mm-hmm. And I'm worried about so many things that are so unimportant. How can I land into my life happier? Instead of having this I should lists, I want to just know how to be more appreciative for what I do have. And she says, I have a happy marriage, 2 healthy children, a great job. And yet here I am, complaining too much, nagging too much, not feeling enough. So how can I land into life happier, in a happier way? And it made me feel like $1,000,000 to know that there is other people out there and that there is research actually showing that we can in fact land into our lives the way they are, happier. And her whole premises of the book is that she didn't change her life. She didn't change the people in her life. She changed her mindset, how she was viewing life.
Mhm.
Ta-da! And that, my friends, is what we do in this group. What do? We work on the mindset. Have I ever gone into your home and changed the physical, things of your house? No. Have I changed your mother, your husband, your children? No. The issues you're having as a single mom versus having, an annoying partner. No, I have never actually physically gone into your work and reorganized things and told your boss off and reorganize how life is going to happen. I have also not given you a magic pill for confidence or better sleeps or like how to eat healthier. None of that has happened. And yet all of you will probably say, I sleep better. I feel a bit more confident. I'm happier. My relationship with my mom, husband, children is better because you're beginning to look at your life from a different perspective. And that is what I came to this world to do, to offer different perspectives. And I coach you ladies on this, but I live this. Like when I don't like the perception I'm having on something, you will see me journaling. You will see me taking a step back, shutting off social media, staying away, going for a walk, finding a better way to look at this. And sometimes for me, we talk a lot about unplugging and just recalibrating. That what's become for me an essential part of my growth is having those moments of changing my life, my perception. So just to close it off, because we could talk indefinitely, I think. Any words of advice, you ladies? I want you to go back in time to when you were thinking, and this is a big one, when you were thinking about joining coaching. And I would say the biggest objection I hear women say, and that was me. Oh my God, that was me. So me. Is cost and time. And we're so used to not putting ourselves first that we say, I can't justify spending this money on me, whether that was to buy myself a pair of jeans or pay for my coach. Currently, I pay so much money for coaching. I think I've lost sight of what too much money is. But my mom told me my entire life, if it's for you, it's not expensive. I never really understood that until I understood that if this is for you, it's not expensive. There's no such a thing as expensive. So I want you guys to think back of a time when you were thinking about this and you were kind of contemplating all of your own self-made objections. What would you have to say to somebody who might be there today, who's not used to prioritizing themselves, who might be going, struggling with the same issue time after time? They're seeing it repeating itself, or they are not feeling really confident. Their self-love is not there. And they're listening to us and I want that, but they have their own obstacles come through. Any words of advice to a fellow sister who might be just a steps away from unlocking a new level of her life?
We always hear about, everybody will say, oh, I can't do that. I can't afford it. I can't afford this. I hear it a lot in my work when they have to spend money on themselves to help improve their health, right? And I was one of those people where it's, well, if that's too much money, the hell with it. I'm not worth it. Or it doesn't justify, I can't justify this. I can assure you there is no money that can qualify. Nothing can, I don't know how to explain it. There's no price to this. Mm-hmm. I can assure you. I just had a situation in my personal life, and that this group and Olga got me through, and that even my family member was like, please thank Olga, because what the work you're doing has transferred to me now. So I don't know how, there's no price to this. There is no price to working on yourself, to loving yourself, to taking care of yourself. We always talk about you need to exercise, you need to eat well. We always talk about the physical aspect, but that mental aspect, and it's not mental that you have a mental illness. It's your mental health. And I always thought of, even as a nurse, mental health means, oh, you're broken mentally. Not necessarily broken mentally, but where your brain has brought you places you shouldn't go, that you don't even know you're there, but that this group will make you acknowledge and realize that your brain doesn't always bring you to places that you should go. And for me, there's absolutely no price. I don't know how to be more thankful. And I am so grateful that I have joined this group. I don't think I would be where I am at. I don't think I would maybe even still be married if it wasn't for this group. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think I would be the nurse I am now, the mother I am now, and the friend that I am now, if it wasn't for this group.
And if it wasn't for taking that decision, like when we make the decision of investing on ourselves, we're telling ourselves, I matter. And sometimes that's the thing that we've been searching for, to matter to ourselves. And so once we engage in that, we begin to behave like we matter. Like you show up to the calls, you do the work, you journal, you come back with like, no, that didn't agree with me. This is where I'm at, right? Because you have engaged in I matter. Therefore, I'm doing this work. Thank you, Nancy, for that.
Similar to what Nancy said, and someone else had said it earlier too, I think as women, we're often, caregivers first. And I think it's so important to just remember that, one, we are important, and two, showing up for yourself and taking care of yourself first, just like what Nancy said, just makes you more present in your life and more available to either support other people or, kind of go through life. But the way I think about it is, how can I help someone else if I don't help myself first, or even just at the same time, right? So I think in terms of the time, I have done many, many, many courses. I have spent hours, and I always learn something from every time I have a call, every time I read a book or listen to a podcast related to self-growth. I always learn something. And I think it takes up time. It's not that you sign up, you pay it, and it's like, poof, great, I'm where I want to be. Like, it does take time. So I think it's important to acknowledge that, but it's time well spent and it's worth it. And for the cost, I mean, similar to Olga, your Starbucks example, I'm like, okay, if I, this is how much it costs. If I don't, okay, during COVID, obviously it's not as relevant, but if I don't go out for dinner one night or 2 nights in the month, and, I cook a nice home cooked meal that's healthy instead, that could be one of the courses. And I can tell you, as much as I am a foodie, that is money better spent for me. So I think it's, it comes back to just remembering, you are worth the time and the money. And although, yes, it can be difficult sometimes, and everyone's in a different situation, but there are different programs. So, just look into the program that, works for you in your situation, and you're going to get something out of it. And I think we've all started with, one form of coaching or one program, and it changes over time based on that. So yeah, I just think it's, as Nancy said it so well, it's, you can't put a price to this.
So just following up on what Gabby mentioned. So yes, you can go do the books, and I've done that. Gabby's done that. I'm sure all of us have done that, right? But the difference between this program and, let's say, a book that you picked up, well, the book is going to take you, 3 months to read, and you're going to apply little tidbits, and that's pretty much, but the growth and the that you have, because you don't have a choice but to move with a group, right? Yes, you have work to do yourself. But it's there. You've got, Voxer, where it's 24/7. You've got a Facebook group, you've got, the 2 sessions a month, plus your individual session. It's a lot, right? So it's almost like exponential. Your growth, it happens because you're guided through, right? So you don't have a choice but to go with it. It's scary, but it's worth it.
I love this. I think I have the most amount of self-help books that a person can have because I love self-coaching. And I agree with you. It takes me 3 months. It's a very fast forward way of reading this book. Sometimes it takes me longer. And I'm like, great idea. I'm going to implement it. And I don't have the accountability. So it goes over my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I read about mindfulness like 5 years ago in that one book, but I didn't really implement. And I think that that's such a great point, Jen, that we just implement together. And I expect setbacks for all of you, right? Like this is a concept, and this is what has, I think is very powerful of becoming the CEO of your own life, that it is about becoming the CEO. So I don't want you to fly by concepts. I want you to master concepts. So if we have to stay in one subject, like healing versus fixing for 5 months, I'm happy to do that. We'll do that, but we will be healers, and we would make the shifts that we need to do so that we can then empower, in an empowered way, show up as the CEO of our own lives to heal. And it's not to say that fixing is not needed. Fixing is also needed. We just need to know when to use which, right? So that is huge. And this particular program offers the most touching points of support throughout. That makes my heart happy. I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Sarah, did you want to have anything to add to somebody? Because you had Sarah, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but you had a very cool moment where I remember you voxing me and saying, I just bought a new house. I'm a single mom of 3. I just bought a new house. I woke up one day thinking, I can't afford life coaching anymore. And then you had an aha moment.
Yeah, for me, it's priorities, and myself is my main priority, because I can't run this house. I can't manage my children, but manage this life if I'm not focused on me first. Like, I'm the CEO of my life if I am at the most priority. So that for me is huge. And if you think you can't afford it, like I started off small, baby steps. And then it becomes an addiction where it's like, okay, I need more. And then all of a sudden you find it in your budget to have enough money for this. So even if you have to start small, do it. It's worth it. It takes time. Don't think you're going to hop in and then you're going to be changed tomorrow. This is a process. I've been doing this for 3 years, and it's just, you just keep evolving, and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. I think that's also a very important point. It takes time. Nobody transforms over time, which is why currently you couldn't have any sessions with me if you're not signing up for 6 months. I love you, whoever is listening, but I also love transformation and realistic transformation. So these one-off sessions, you cannot have a one-off session with me. Like I just had a lovely client of mine who wanted to just do a one-off session. We're currently not working together. I'm like, it breaks my heart, but I have to commit to what I believe will be in your best interest. I could sure see you for one time off, and I know you're going to feel better. I know for a fact, touching base with your life coach will make you feel better. But what's to come from that? You may as well just go for coffee with a friend. If all you want is an afternoon where you're going to feel better, go see a friend. If you're interested in learning the tools that will help you actually sustain this long term, you gotta commit to you. And it's the scariest of things. We jump into marriage, no questions asked. We go into school, a travel with somebody we haven't met too much, a travel trip. Okay, we'll do it. We commit all the time without even knowing to crazy things. We commit. But when it comes to ourselves, we're like, ooh, hold on. Do I know this well enough? I don't know that I can commit to myself. So I think that this is such a great point that you ladies have made. It takes time, and it's that commitment to you understanding your priorities and making yourself a priority.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Olga. I wanted to add, I'm pretty sure some people must be listening to this saying, oh, these women have been with Olga all these years. and they're still at Olga, they still have things to work on, that must be so discouraging. And I wanted to say, it's not discouraging. I don't feel like I've been working with you for years. I want to work with you for many more years. You know, it's not a discouraging work. I think I really wanted to send that message. It's an inspiring work. It's a positive work. It's a moment that you give yourself, that you're giving yourself so much love while you're doing this, that you feel so good afterwards. It's like taking a bath or a shower after like a massive workout. You know, that's how I feel after our calls. I've taken the longest bath and I smell good and I feel relaxed and I feel good. Right. So like, I think that's the message I really wanted to add.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I do say I want you to be not dependent on me, but independent. But my experience, I work with people. I end up working with people way longer than we set ourselves to do it, because what happens is that you continue to unlock levels. I think Nancy and Gabby, you both were saying this, like, it's like you think you're done, and you're like, way more? Whoa, like how deep can I go? And it's your choice. It's your choice how deep you want to go, and you get to absolutely benefit. Like this type of investment gives you results. It's like real estate. I love investing in real estate because I know I'm going to get my money back and more. This is the type. I love investing in my life coaching. I've never once regretted having a coach. I never look back and think, these lessons I've had about myself, not good enough, like useless, not at all. Mm-hmm. Ladies, from the bottom of my heart, I want to really thank you for having taken this time. I know the listeners are taking something out of this. I am excited to hear from you guys listening. If you've got questions about this, you guys can leave them in the reviews, or you can reach out to me directly on Instagram at olgas.way. I am an open book. I want to answer any questions you may have about this program or any program at all if you're looking at joining me. I'd love to coach you. I would love to see where you can take your own personal challenges to. And if you want to meet this group of ladies, you can. They're part of the Olga's Way community. And I know that they're happy to meet you as well and support you as you go through your own journey. Ladies, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. And I will see you very soon in one of our coaching calls. Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day, ladies.
Bye now.